Hey there, Shooby-Doodlers. How are you doing? I had a message this week from Corey Bedard, who says, so I just finished writing my book and I've got a publisher already set up that I'm submitting my manuscript to. I'm afraid it's not quite polished enough. Any advice on how to shake this feeling? I heard the biggest critic is your own self. So true. Well, there's several things there. First of all, congratulations on finishing your story. That's a big achievement in itself. I just started a story about 2 weeks ago and I spent the first week really working hard on it and then hit a wall. So I'm thinking, no, I'm not going to work on that anymore. But what I did was I said, I'm going to put this to one side for a moment and do something else. And your brain kind of keeps working away at it. And I know I'll come back to it quite soon. But to actually finish your story is a huge achievement. To finish your story and think, oh, it could be a little bit better, it could be a little bit better, is natural. To obsess about it is just being obsessive, okay? So what happens next? You say you already have a publisher set up. Well, that suggests that you've been talking to somebody and they're waiting for you to submit something. So it depends really on what kind of publisher you are sending it to. There are basically two types of publishers. There is the old traditional publisher and there is the vanity publisher, which is also in fact another tradition. A vanity publisher will do all the work for you of creating your book and actually sort of turning what you've written into a book, the physical hard work. And with modern marketing, they promise you all sorts of other things as well. Oh yes, we'll make it available here and it'll be available in the shops and all sorts of stuff. Well, you can do that yourself. Anybody can do that. It's not really a great promise to say, I will publish your book and make it available in the shops. The marketing is the really hard part. And that is one thing that a vanity publisher is really not going to give you. And also, they're not really going to give you the editorial backing either. When you bring a story to a publisher, you will bring it to an editor and they will read your story and they will know instinctively if this is something that they want to publish. And they will read the story and think, yes, this is fantastic. Or maybe just, yes, this is great, this is good, and we can publish it and make a bit of money out of it. But hopefully they'll be thinking, yes, this is the book I've been looking for all my life. If the story is not absolutely brilliant, they may be swayed by bad spelling and grammar and stuff like that. But if the basics, if the story is good, and the characters are strong, and they can see, yes, this can be a great book, they're just going to go with it. And they will say to you, oh, I love this, let's do this. Then the editor has to sell it to the publisher. So the editor is kind of your champion, and they will champion your idea in your book through marketing committees and commissioning committees and all sorts of things, until finally the publishers will say, okay, we're going to commit to this. And the publisher is then going to put money into it. Hey, look, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and ring that bell so you'll get notifications of all my new videos. Thank you very much. Now, I'm just going to interject another little bit here about vanity publishers. When you take a story to a vanity publisher, the chances are they're going to go, this is fantastic, because all they're really going to do is take your story and print it. And really, anybody can do that. A traditional publisher, if they like your story, they will give you a contract and they will give you an advance payment against the royalties. They will pay you. If anybody is saying to you, give us money and we will publish your book, they are not a traditional publisher, and they are not going to be putting the full editorial into your story. They are not going to be putting the marketing into your story. They will have already earned their money, and to earn more, they're just going to find another person's book to publish and to get money from the author. If you just want a copy in your hands, that is fine. And if you're prepared to pay somebody to help you do that, that is fine. That is what a vanity publisher really is good at. If you have written a story and you want your book to be in the windows of the bookstores and turned into a movie and all those sort of fantastic things that can happen to a story, you do not want a vanity publisher. If you've got ambitions for your story, You really need to find a traditional publisher. If you have tried again and again and again to get a traditional publisher and they keep turning you down, then I'm afraid probably your story isn't quite good enough. And however much you polish it, it's probably not going to get there. Put that book into a drawer and forget all about it. You might, in a year's time, 10 years' time, suddenly go, I know what to do. I know what that story should be. And then it might turn into something. But get on with the next story. Get on with new. Don't keep treading over old ground. Now let me get back to where I was before. Publishers are venture capitalists. So they want to make a profit. To make a profit, first of all, they want the editor to edit the book. And that means making the book as best as it can be for the reader. Is you're nothing to do with it anymore. Your ego is out the window. It should be anyway. It's about the reader and producing the best book possible for the reader, and that is the editor's job. They are the reader's champion. Having championed your work through to the publisher, they now become the reader's champion, and they're trying to make this book and story as best as possible for the reader. So they're making it clear, they're making sure all the characters are realistic, they're making sure that the story and the plot sort of hang together, all those kinds of things. And then also they'll be working on the grammar, but that will then again go on to a line editor who will be sort of checking all the spelling and stuff like that as the book goes on. And then it will go to art departments and everything to do the actual physical process of creating the book, and then the marketing department and all that kind of thing. So you have finished your story and you're thinking, oh, is it good enough? Is it good enough? And and that is very understandable. This is your child. You have created this thing, and you're going to send it out there, and it's like if it was your child. You don't want people to say, what a horrible child, what a horrible brat. You want people to go, oh, what a lovely child, what a beautiful child. And that's what you want people to say. And you don't know how that child is going to behave until you actually send it out there. And there comes a point you just have to do it. You can polish and keep adding and doing things forever and ever and ever. But that is really that is editorial. That is editing. And you are far better to do that editing with an editor who has a clear mind of what this book should be, and they're going to try and help you to bring this book to the market as best as possible for the reader. While you're writing it, it's about you and it's about your ego and everything. You have to let go. And I know some authors have very big egos and they will stamp about, I'm not going to change that word and all that kind of thing. But just go with it. Be humble and listen. If you think an editor is wrong, then you discuss it with them and say, I really do think this is right, and you have to kind of explain why. And if you explain properly, they will go, oh, I get it, because it is your book, but you have to explain why that is there, and you have to fight your corner in the same way that they will fight their corner when they say, we really think you ought to change this and change that and whatever. And be humble about it. If an editor thinks you should change a lot, it is scary, but take your time. Don't panic. Take your time. Get over it for a moment, the shock of it, and then just sit down and work your way through, and eventually you'll go, oh, actually, yeah, that is good. But if you really feel, no, this isn't right, then you go back. You don't stamp your feet about. You kind of sort of come with a clear, consistent argument. No, I think this should remain this way, and maybe come up with a compromise or whatever, and say, but if I change that character, how about if we did that, and then this will happen, and what do you think of that? Then they might then say, oh yes, and then you can do that. And that is the wonder of editing. Sometimes one little change here suggests another change there, suggests another change, and everybody then gets in on it. Everybody is thrilled. You want the publisher to love the book too, because they're not going to sell it. If they think, no, this author's hard to work with, we're not really happy with this book, they're not really going to try and sell it hard. So you want everybody to be really happy and really behind the book. And it once you go to a publisher, it becomes teamwork. It's a really strange thing being an author. You sit, I'm in my little shed here, you sit in your shed all day long for weeks, months, and you're a solo player, like a tennis player. It's just you out there, or in your little shed, or wherever, writing, doing your thing, manifesting something from your head. As soon as you take it to a publisher, you're part of a team, and you kind of have to shift over into this team player kind of thing, which is really, really difficult. Some authors find it very hard to do that. Some find it very easy, and they're very easy to work with. You'll find editors will say, yeah, they're difficult to work with, or they're really easy to work with. And it's changing over to the team player mentality. And that everybody is now owning your story. It's not yours anymore. You're handing it over. You're sharing it. I'm adding an extra little bit here, which came to me while I was editing at this moment. When I first started out writing, I thought an editor was like a goalkeeper in soccer, football, and they were somebody you had to get your story past them. And they were trying to get in your way, and it's like the audience were out there, and you had to get it past the editor somehow. But that is not it. Your editor is your best friend. If you can find a really good editor who you like, who you get on with, who you can work with as a team, then hold on to them. And if they move on to other publishers, you'll find quite often authors move from one publisher to another because their editor has moved, and it's the editor, it's that relationship that they really, really want to work with. If you keep polishing your story, it's probably going to start becoming a compulsion, and a lot of people write a story and it never gets to a publisher because they think, oh, it's not good enough. It's not good. I'll just change that. I'll just change that. You change that bit, and then you have to change this bit, and you keep. It does become kind of a compulsion that you kind of think, I'll just keep working on it, and never actually letting the story go out there. It's this whole idea of, oh, it's art, it's my story. It's not your story. If it's your story that much, then just write it down in a book and shove it on your bookcase and stop going on about it, okay? If you want your book to be published, you have to let it go. If you really, really, really keep going on like that, then you don't want it to be published. So admit that to yourself. Just make a copy for yourself, or keep it on your computer and move on. You're either going to be published or you're not. If you're going to be published, you've got to let it go. And if you say you've finished your book and you've reached that point, just go for it. Just go for it. Hand it over and become part of the team. Well done for finishing your book, and good luck. Go and send it off today. Thanks for watching. Make sure you are subscribed to the Shu Rayner Drawing channel and keep coming back for lots more drawing videos every week. In the meantime, keep writing, practice, and I'll see you next time. You take care now. Bye-bye.